Last secret, referrals. To me, these are arguably the best leads you'll ever get. And you should always be asking for referrals. I am big on asking your clients and even your people that are not your clients yet for referrals. Always ask. Offer an incentive. Offer them $100. Offer them something that they need, that they want. And as I said, again, always ask. That's not a typo. It's there for a reason. Ask as often as you can, but not too much. I mean, you don't want to sound needy. As long as you're not sounding needy, you should be asking, is my belief. I mean, and we'll get into this a little bit when we talk about cold calling, but think about this. Over the last 3 to 6 months, what was the first name of the telemarketer or the person that cold called you and offered you something? Chances are you don't remember. And chances are they won't either. They may be irritated a little bit if you ask them for something, but they will get over it. They're not going to hold it against you personally. If they do, then you probably don't want to be around them anyway. But just ask. That's about all I can say on this. Jeff has much more on referrals in his program, so he will definitely touch on that, I'm sure, more. My rule, again, be in their rule of 10. Be in front of them. Call or email them once a month with something of value. And what you're going for here is the referral. So, hey, Bob, just calling you this month. Want to make sure that, your filings for, October 31st are in order. If you need anything, let me know. If not, no worries. Have a great day. And oh, by the way, if you know anybody else that needs help with their October 31st filing, just let me know. Got some bandwidth and think I'd like to look at bringing on another client. Well, if Bob knows somebody, chances are if you provided value to him, he's going to help you. And that is about the cheapest, best sales call you can ever make. And it's not hard selling. It's just asking, but you have to ask. Networking. Okay, Jeff had a question on this. 2/3 of you enjoy networking. 1/3 of you do not. It can be work. It can also be hugely inefficient because if you're networking, you are not billing or you are not working on somebody else billing. I don't network. I stopped networking over a year ago. I started measuring my time and my return on investment, and networking was not getting me what I needed. So I stopped. And I have started, back then, I started looking at all the things that I do to bring in clients, and I measure them, and I look at my return. And if I'm not getting at least some kind of return, either in scheduled calls, closed business, something like that, if I don't get a return, I stop doing it because it is not working for me. 2 things here. You can be the donut guy or gal. You can take donuts. This is effective. I mean, this still works. You provide somebody with food. You go back to those 6 things that Cialdini I was talking about found in his research, and he documented in his book, Influence. You give somebody food, you are basically giving them life on a subconscious level. They owe you. Their subconscious thinks they owe you. They will do something. It may just be a smile. It may just be a thank you, but they will do something. So that's why the donuts work on the subconscious and the psychological level. But you also, at some point, you don't want to just be the donut person. You don't want to just be thought of as somebody with donuts. So as long as you're bringing donuts, coffee, whatever, and you're transitioning into a sale or into an approach of a sale, then that's fine. But don't just be bringing donuts for people. You're just providing food for people that don't need it. Jeff, you want to jump in here on networking? Because this is something that I defer to you on.
Absolutely, I'll jump in. So personally, I believe networking is absolutely critical and valuable for the small firm who's looking to add 1 or 2 clients a month. If you are a bigger firm, networking, you just can't do enough of it to make it worthwhile. So I shared a couple of my favorites. Personally, I used to join. I worked at BNI. I was with BNI. I was a member of, and it's Business Networking International. There's other groups out there as well. My personal challenge with BNI was that the results were hit and miss, and it really depended who was in the group and what the group was like. And it was an interesting session, but it was a lot of work. I found I could put on, and this is my tip of the day, I could put on little networking events at my firm, utilize a boardroom that I had, invite, let's say my boardroom could hold 10 people. I'd invite 5 clients and ask them to bring 5 business associates. So what that did was I got to see 5 clients, and I got to build rapport and meet 5 potential clients. I got such great results out of that. We actually went to the extreme. We once a month rented a meeting room at a local hotel, and we would do 4 networking sessions in the day. So we'd have a breakfast session, pre-lunch session, an afternoon session, and an evening session. And again, we would always invite key clients and ask them to bring their friends, colleagues, acquaintances, and my personal record, we picked up 20 clients one day. So it is worthwhile. In this day and age, I like things like Chamber of Commerce events. Those are great places to meet bigger businesses. If you're not a member of either your local Chamber of Commerce or Better Business Bureau, great associations to be part of. The Canadian government, thank you very much, has created almost every town, city in the country has an economic development office, and they put on free events, or they're always looking for people to speak. The other thing, if you're more tech savvy, I like to search meetup.com or eventbrite.com. There's some great networking events for, if you know a niche, they'll have a networking event for people in the IT sector that are networking every, the first Tuesday of every month. There's a lot of groups out there, and if you just go to meetup.com, it will search your local geographic area. But if you want to, let's say you want to focus on tech startups, last time I checked in Calgary, there's probably about 50 different groups that cater to that market. A lot of times they're looking for an accountant who can come in and talk about, what's unique to that business and from an accounting perspective. So if you offer a little information, it's a great way to network. The most important thing about networking is you've got to have a system, and I strongly recommend reading a book by Bob Berg. I pasted it in the chat, called Endless Referrals. And I could talk about this for an hour or 2 hours all day, but I won't. So, Tad, I'll return the control back to you. Thank you.
Okay, super. I just want to also say that networking, I don't think was effective for me because partly of my niche, which is internet marketing, or what we call IM, because there's 2 or 3 people that are trying to get into every group for IM. But I will also say that the current CPA that we got through a networking group. I went to the group to offer my services and ended up picking up the CPA while I was there. So just ditto what Jeff said. It can be extremely effective. It can be. In my market, for me, I just didn't. It's not for me. Doesn't mean it doesn't work. Just not for me. And the donuts can work as well, depending on what group you're in.
One thing I'll recommend, just an example, a friend of mine did this. He went with hard candy. So like he got a box, put his logo on it, and I think it was customized, so you can find these online. But basically it said the right accounting relationship has never been so sweet. It was a little bit of a pun, but he gave hard candy, and what it did was the receptionist put it on the front desk so that everybody would see it when they came in. The problem with donuts is they get squirreled to the back room and hidden. Not that donuts are bad, but hard candy work better. So with donuts, they get hidden, and at the end of the day, they get thrown in the garbage. With hard candy, they tend to keep and they sit out. So he would leave it there, and it was a conversation piece. So anyways.
Absolutely. And again, I'm gonna bring up the 6 things in influence. Reciprocation is huge. Um, you've given something to somebody. They now owe you because they have to keep balance in the tribe. The tribe has to stay together to be protected, so they have to keep on your good side. They will do something unless they're non, unless they don't care and they want to be kicked out of the tribe. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, calling. We did referrals, we did networking. Now we're going to talk about calls. And calls can be good. They can be a waste of time. They can be insulting. They can be all kinds of things. So we're going to just go through the list. Warm calls. Warm calls are what we call calls that you already have a relationship with this individual. You know them. They are okay with you calling them. These will mainly be, for our discussion today, your clients. I would, depending on how many clients you have, I would call at least a few each day. Don't try to do everybody, but just, have 5, 10, 15 minutes, and you want to be efficient with your time, respectful of theirs. So it's just, hey, how you doing? Call in, check in, see how things are going. Anything you can do, let us know. Little chat, but try to keep it to a minimum, but call them. Again, you're getting in their rule, you're getting in their 10. The rule of 10 is huge here. If they know that you're always there, they will think when they think of a problem and you're in their 10, you will come up in their mind. This shows that you care about them. They will remember you. And also, it's a perfect time for upselling. You can, do you need anything? Is there anything, going on with you? Anything that you need help with? Chances are, because they've already paid you at some point, they are already past that barrier of making payment to you. So they're in what we call a buying mood. Maybe not, completely, because they hadn't bought something from you recently, but they do pay you, especially if they're on a monthly retainer or some type of monthly recurring billing. They've already bought from you, so they're okay with buying from you again. Don't hard sell here. This is one of the other things in influence, commitment and consistency. Because they have bought from you and they've accepted help in the past, in their mind, they will do this to justify doing what they did in the past. They will do things with you again. That's why upsells work so well. If you've ever bought anything online and you get that little pop-up, oh, would you like 3 more of these for half price? Well, marketers do that for a reason, and the main reason is because commitment and consistency. You just showed them that you are willing, you just did something with them. You just did something that caused you to come out of your comfort zone a little bit. So to justify that, chances are you will show your commitment to that. You will remain consistent, because if you don't, what it does is psychologically it causes a conflict in your brain. Your brain is saying, okay, well, I bought it before, so why am I not buying this? It's the same stuff. It still is good. Why am I not buying this? And marketers know that, and they play on that heavily. That's why you have upsells. Always provide more than they expected. So, you're calling them, you're offering them support, you're giving them something. Again, reciprocation comes into play here. You've given them something of value. So now they owe you, and psychologically, subconsciously in their mind, they owe you because they want to stay in good with you. It works. So, but again, don't hard sell here. Just provide value. And this is huge with me. I always suggest this. Do this in every way I can. Under promise and over deliver. Don't say you can do everything for them, because anything you do will not be as big as what you just promised. You want to say, yeah, I will do something, and then do something a little more. And then they will come to think, oh, this guy is always over delivering. I mean, this guy or gal, they're just great. Always over deliver when you can. If you can't, understand, but do something, even if it's just a little thing. It will be noticed, at least subconsciously. Also, do not blame them for you not calling. I am probably the worst about this. I hate calling people on the phone. I've always hated it. It's something I've had to work on over the years because of what I'm doing now. I'm much, much better at it. I'm much, much more comfortable with it now than I used to be. And one of the things that got me over that is stop coming up with excuses why I can't call them. Oh, they'll be upset. Oh, they're busy. Oh, they won't like it. Oh, there's nothing for me to offer them right now. Stop blaming them. Put it on a schedule, be consistent with it, and call them at least. Or, if you're not going to call them and you can't, fine, email them at least once a month. Stay in front of them. Be in their 10. And don't blame them for not contacting them. I don't care what they do. Unless they just come right out and say, never ever call me or don't email me. I don't want to hear from you unless I call you. Yeah, okay, maybe. I would have to look at what return I get from that client. But anyway, contact them. Be in their 10. Okay, cold calling. This is the worst thing that I have ever done in my sales and marketing. I hate it. No one likes it. Even people that do it for a living don't like it. You talk to them, they don't like it, but it works. And it works because of numbers. The third bullet point here, where I say it does work, in Kutenda. I believe Kutenda is Swahili for speed. And there's a company here in Denver that took that name. They're a local marketing agency. When they first started out, there were two business partners that were the owners, and they had no business. So what they did is they sat across from each other in a conference room table in their empty office because they had no business, and they would cold call. They just went down the phone book. They took certain niches like plumbers, electricians, whatever. They provided local marketing services, and they would just go down the phone book. One would make a call, and then the other one would make a call, then the other one, and then just ping pong, back and forth and back and forth. They did this for 8 hours a day. That's how they got started. It works. I mean, it just does. It can be uncomfortable if you don't like that. If you are uncomfortable when people they don't want to talk to you, they may get angry, they may get derogatory. It is possible. It doesn't happen a lot. I mean, it really doesn't. In cold calling, people just are generally more abrupt and more frank. But if that also makes you uncomfortable talking to people, this is going to be something that you're just going to have to work at. Now, the other thing is for everybody on this call, or I'm assuming understanding what everybody does on this call, this is not the most efficient use of your time, but it does work. And that's why I had the outsource here. I had an outsourcer that worked really, really well for me several years ago. He could do 8 calls an hour on average. Sometimes he could do 12, but usually it came out to about 8 a day. And I figured that if I did it, I could work half-hour a day, 30 minutes, like we're talking about in this webinar, and I could make about 84 calls a month, given a 21-day month. So that's not a ton. If you take a 1% conversion rate, which is not untypical for cold calling, say if you took a 2% conversion rate, that's only 1 sale out of a month. Is that worth it? If you're only spending half an hour a day, depending on what else you're doing, how you're looking at getting clients. I have some numbers here in just a little bit we'll go over. But that may not be the best use of your time. But it still works. The point I'm bringing up is it still works. It's still a viable alternative, even if you don't do it. And I'll show you how you can automate some of this stuff at the end. Okay,